Welcome to the It Girl podcast. I am here today with
Hyla.
Hyla. What do you do?
I am the co-founder of the activewear brand 437.
I am the biggest 437 fan. I love it. I think it is the It Girl brand for Swim Activewear. Can you tell us how 437 got started and how you got started, and just tell us about your journey and how you became an It Girl who's making the athletic wear for all the It Girls?
So my best friend Adrian and I, we were at university in our final year of business school, and our program was very heavy on go be consultants, investment bankers, go work at a big marketing firm, and go be an accountant. And none of those paths were really resonating with us. We had no idea what we wanted to do. We loved business, but we didn't really know what was going to happen. In our junior year, we had a study abroad program, and I was in Italy and Adrian was in France. And on the weekends, we would just travel, meet up, and we were going into Portugal. We were traveling in Portugal, and we realized that all these bathing suits that we packed, and mind you, this was Victoria's Secret shutting down its swimwear era. And then all these little cheap swimwear brands on the internet started popping up. There wasn't a lot, especially that we were even seeing in Toronto, online, on Instagram. There really wasn't a lot this is 2015, 2016. So we said, you know what, we saw the bathing suits we packed. None of them were flattering on us. We're like, this is strange. Maybe when we get back to Toronto in a couple months, maybe we can just try something, pen to paper, see what happens. And this was also when e-commerce was kind of picking up, Shopify, the era of Tim Ferriss and the 4-hour work week. And Adrian that summer was working at Hugo Boss in a internship on their corporate side. And I was doing this startup incubator where we learned a lot about fundraising and startup, very tech San Francisco vibes. And on the weekends, we would just meet up in Toronto or in another city, and we would just start working on this business idea we had, which then became 437. So we were sitting in a McDonald's one day. I remember we were in Toronto, and we're like, what should we call it? We're like, what's the house number we're about to move into? We're like, oh, 437. Okay, yeah, let's just name it 437 because, we really weren't thinking this is going to become this bigger business. We just were like, what's something that 5 years from now we wouldn't think is super cheesy, like a name of a beach or something in swimwear, right? So then we got back, we called it 437 Swimwear. We were on Canva. We put it on a purple background, this random logo. Our final year of university, our senior year, we said, we're going to just take this full time. All these, they did all these recruiting programs on campus. And we told ourselves, let's just take this full time. We were selling a little bit here and there. And mind you, at the time, that last year of university, we didn't have some really exciting product. We just were like, what's our MVP, our minimum viable product, that we can just see if we even have what it takes to start a brand, right? Can we even sell product to people? We got some orders, and I think we got we made $1,000 on Black Friday that year. And we were like, oh my God, this is crazy. But if you really think about it, on Black Friday, you're just going to sell a lot more than you do throughout the year. We're like, if we can make this every single day, that's $365,000. That's a full-on business. We were super naive, but I'm glad we were, because we used that and we said, we're going to take this full time. We went overseas that summer after we graduated, when all of our peers were going on their fun backpacking grad trips. We're like, we're going overseas. We're going to go meet some manufacturers.
I was going to ask, how did you go through the process of finding a manufacturer?
Yep. Literally, we were working online. There was this one company at the time that helps find manufacturers overseas for you. So we were talking to one, and we said, you know what? Now that we've graduated, we made $5,000-$10,000 that whole year after classes. During classes, we were just on our computers. We used that $5,000-$10,000. We went overseas, met with a manufacturer, did the smallest production run we could get. And it all fell into place because, we didn't know how to properly sketch or do tech packs or anything like that. We literally were like, here's an idea. Here's a simple triangle bathing suit. We literally drew on a sketch of a body. Here's this bandeau top. And the best part was that we ended up being the fit models. And, very normal. I'm a normal size small. I'm not a model size small. And just a regular size small, Sometimes I call myself a little bit of a fluffier size small, right?
You are not fluffy.
No, but
Not fluffy.
I'm I fluctuate.
And especially at that time, bikinis.
Oh my goodness, don't get me started.
I couldn't fit in anything. If you had boobs or anything, it was game over.
And I'm also like, as women with our hormones, we fluctuate. We go up, we go down, curvier, bloated. And I also deal with a lot of gluten sensitivity, dairy sensitivity, and soy. Oh gosh, it's the worst. And so, you know, like knowing that that was my norm, and probably when I was fitting, I felt a little bloated and I felt this sort of way. We designed with that, with our bodies. And I think that that's what we became really known for, was swimwear that was really flattering on the woman's body, just like hugged you in the right places. And mind you, that was 7 years ago now. And we thought we were going to sell out on launch day. Like now that we went to this new manufacturer, got high quality fabrics, did this, we shot the website, and again, zero budget. I had to be the model. I didn't have a choice, unfortunately. Adrian had to be the photographer. We built the website on Shopify. We weren't one of those brands that went and got an agency and paid all this money. We had no money. Mm-hmm. We put every dollar we had into the production, and the smallest production we could get. And we thought we were going to sell out because we were following some brands at the time that were launching other categories. We're like, wow, these founders are selling out overnight. Definitely not the case for us. We had 2 orders on launch day, and one of them was our best friend, Mackenzie.
Shout out to Mackenzie.
Shout out Mackenzie.
That's a real one.
Yes.
What was your marketing strategy at the time? What were you doing? Because I feel like this was probably, I know 437 as being very successful on Instagram and Pinterest, and I've seen it all over Pinterest.
Wow.
But what were you doing for marketing at that time? Because I know it's kind of before that era.
It was 2 things. It was like Instagram marketing. Like, so, you know, it was a lot easier to go viral on Instagram, have like a photo on like the Explore page pop up. Influencer marketing was a big one for us at the time. So that was back when someone with 10,000 followers would tag you in a story and you'd go up 500 followers.
Yeah.
That is like unheard of today, even if they have millions of followers.
Totally.
So that was definitely in our favor at the time when launching, just like if you were launching 2 years ago onto TikTok, right? So it was definitely in our favor. We were gifting a lot because we did not have budget for anything.
So you were early adopters of the gifting strategy, because that wasn't a big thing at first. That
2016
slowly became something.
Yeah, 2016, it was not a big thing yet.
Yeah.
Neither was having a dedicated social media manager, right? Like that was like that era when people were saying, hey guys, it's time to start incorporating that into your strategy, just like 2 years ago at TikTok. Mm-hmm. And so we really honed in on that because that's all we knew. And that was free organic marketing. And all we had was product sitting, not moving, not selling in Adrian's parents' basement. All we can do is get the cheapest envelope at the post office and send this out to as many women as we can that were willing. And we never reached out saying, hey, can you do this for us? It was always like, hey, we'd love to send you a suit. And if someone loved it, they responded. But it was like 1 in 30 women we were DMing were responding. And we just kept going. We obviously moved back home once we graduated. And all of our business school peers, they went off to live downtown Toronto in their nice condos and going out to like getting drinks on the weekend. We literally, the only thing we allowed ourselves to pay for was like a Netflix membership. We stayed at home, or ate at home, didn't do anything. And it was really discouraging. And I think so many times during that era, we wanted to give up because it wasn't moving. Like no one talks about this. This is 100% the hardest part about starting a business.
Absolutely.
It's not the finding the manufacturers. Like that's fun. That's easy. The garment, sketching. And I consult a lot of small business owners now, and they spend so much time in that phase. That's the easy phase because you can sit here and have your most beautiful product, but then it's stuck in your basement. And how do you get that first 5 customers who aren't your friends? The first 10, the first 20, the first 100, 1 order a week, 1 order a day, 10 orders a day, 100 orders a day. How do you get there? And that took a very long time with the methods, you know, like I said. Eventually, after almost 2 years of starting a brand, that's when we took our first salary. So it was tough. Like it's definitely not one of those overnight success stories like we see on social media.
Was there a pivotal moment where you were like, okay, because I know that phase of when I think people who want to do social media, people who want to start a business, anyone can relate to that phase where you're not making any money, but you're still working and you're working every single day and absolutely nothing is coming from it. And it is so discouraging. Was there a moment where you were like, okay, I see this momentum, or something you chose to do, or maybe an it girl wore something or a tag, or was there a moment where you were like, okay, we're picking up?
I ended up moving over to LA for a couple months. I had this weird intuition that if I go out there, maybe I'll learn a little bit about the branding, the social media, the influencer marketing. And I've always wanted to try out the West Coast. So I moved over literally zero. I sold my car in Toronto for like $15,000, and I used that money to move out to LA again. 437 wasn't paying us a salary. This is about a year into the business. And I saw online Tammy Hembrow was having a meet and greet. It was far. I remember looking at the Uber being like, this is $60 to get there. I'm not getting paid. Where is this money coming from?
I've taken the $80 Uber to get somewhere when you aren't getting paid, but like I needed an interview, I needed this, and I've done that. It's rough. It's hard to justify.
You have to, it's like that risk, and and 1 in 20 maybe payoff. I remember going there, and it was like a bunch of younger girls were like lining up to meet her, which was so sweet. And so I lined up and waited for an hour to get in. And I remember seeing her. I'm like, hi, Tammy. Like, obviously took the picture because everyone, we were taking pictures. And then I said, Tammy, I brought you this suit. No expectations at all. Just wanted to give this to you. And she was like, oh, thank you. She was very sweet. But I saw her pass it off to like an assistant or someone. I'm like, all right, nothing's going to happen now. Little did I know, the next day I started getting tagged in a bunch of things. I'm like, what's going on? She was at the Montage Hotel and she wore it and tagged us. And all of a sudden, all those influencers who were not responding to us in the DMs responded to us. People were tagging us. And mind you, at that time, we were like doing like 2, 3 orders, 4 orders a week, maybe. And I won't say it like overnight changed us at all. Maybe that day we saw 2,000 new followers at the time. That's what happened. And, maybe like 10 orders that day. But it was more of like this validation to keep going.
Yeah.
And I felt like we really needed that because I remember 2 weeks prior to that happening, Adrian and I were both on like FaceTime crying, being like, this sucks. Like, what? Like, this is brutal.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out Tammy for believing in us when we were not. Yeah.
Those are my favorite stories because I really obviously believe in the power of it girls. And I really think that they have the power to transform businesses, and every girl that we have on that has a business or has a platform or anything can attribute. They're like, oh, someone did this. She tagged me in this. She tagged me in that. And then this girl DM'd me. And then I met up with her. And then this happened. And it doesn't. And it's kind of like that. Just you can relax for a second and just, okay, something good's happening. It's not just that fight every day. It gets really exhausting. And what was the shift to activewear? How did that come about? Because I love the activewear. I love the swim too, but I love the activewear. What was that transition like? How did that come about?
I think the conversation started about 4 years ago about, I work out every single day. I'm always wearing activewear. And it was like this thought between Adrian and I of, what we're wearing, what's on the market. It's not exactly what I would do myself. Not that it's not good. It's just not what I would do if I were to design activewear with the things that 437 is known for, like really flattering on the body. And I'm just going to say it out loud. Makes your ass look good. Like that's what we wanted in our swimwear as part of it. We want our waist to look more snatched. Like, like when I shop for jeans, I want my butt to look good too, And so I wanted to bring part of those things into active, but I wanted, these elevated colors, matching sets, but I wanted the quality to be there, and I wanted it to feel, not overly masculine. I feel like some activewear on the market is super like gym, hardcore, buff vibes, and then some of them are like very like ultra girly, and some of them are super modern. I wanted to find something like an intersection where you can still be modern, but there's like that hint of femininity in there. So, you could still wear like black and white, but there's like the wrap detail. There's the contrast detail that kind of alludes to like that Chanel, the Coco Chanel vibe. And, I just think that, having like a flattering legging on your butt that feels really good, or like a V waistband, those details to us really mattered, especially in our swimwear and especially in our activewear. And so, and also because personally, I was that girl at the gym that was like, wait, all the girls at the gym, because I like to lift. I'm not just like ultra Pilates yoga only. I do half lifting, half mat stuff. And I'm like, why do I feel like I have two separate wardrobes here? Like I have like my lifting clothes, like more, sporty vibe. And then I have like the cute aesthetic for Pilates. Like, why can't I be feminine and cute at the gym? I don't want to wear this like buff stuff personally. And so I'm like, okay, let's see if we can bridge this gap. And 4 years ago, we started the conversation. And then I think 3 years ago, we officially launched our first activewear collection. And unlike other collections at 437, because prior we did sweats, we've done lounge, we've always explored different things during the pandemic prior to that. But when we were launching activewear, we made a conscious decision as a brand that regardless of what happens the first launch, we're going to treat it like a business. Just like our initial story, we didn't sell out on the first launch. So we made that promise to ourselves that this is a category we're not going to give up in no matter how long it takes. Because I was like, I really want to wear this stuff. We launched our first collection. It did okay. It actually, we look back in hindsight now, I was like, oh, so we actually did pretty good, but we weren't like sold out or by any means. And we were like, okay, it didn't have like the logos on it, like you see, like the really minimal logos that you see now. And we're like, let's try a different angle. We got customer feedback, community feedback. What details do you guys want? And every collection since then, we just kept iterating based on what our community was saying. They wanted this fabric, they wanted this logo, they wanted this compressive, and we just kept iterating. And I truly feel like 2 years ago, we got our footing in finally we were really, really happy with the product. We were really excited. We just started doing some collaborations. And I think as of a year ago, our activewear makes up 80% of the orders and the revenue pretty much at 437. So yeah, wait, can I say that part again? Because I was like 80% of orders. And yeah, and actually as of a year ago now, activewear makes up 80% of total orders at 437. So, we obviously started off with swimwear, and it's not that we're not doing swimwear anymore. It's just more that we're trying to bring more of what our community wants, and we can't keep up with the demand with our activewear, which is really exciting. So we're trying to do more of that. But I also think that, businesses are run by people, right? And think of like our peers who are working at companies, and after a few years, they're like, I want a new challenge, and they go work at another company. I totally get that, right? But I think as founders, you're kind of like, it's your baby, so you're not going anywhere, but you also want new challenges. You also want new categories. And it's just been like a really fun journey for us. I think it's exciting. And to be honest with you, now I'm just so much more passionate about the activewear because it's just my life. I live in activewear. I love the wellness space. And so, yeah, I never know what the future holds for 437. I'm just trying to stay very open. But I think it's like just going with the flow. What does the community want? What feels good to you? And right now, our entire team, all of us, we're just like really tunnel vision on the activewear.
What were some of the collaborations that you did?
For example, we've worked with Rachel Kirkconnell from The Bachelor.
Yes.
She did an activewear set. Even when I think of like collaboration, I even think of, seeding it to Alex Earl, and just seeing the effect that she's had on our activewear has been really, I'm just like full of gratitude.
And did you send it to her?
Yes, we've sent it to her. And she recently this January did like a 30 heart challenge. And honestly, I think she wore us like 20 days out of the 30, like from what I remember, like most of the days that she was posting. And I just like get so happy because, even if you're someone who's like not tagging and promoting and, publicly being like, hey, everyone go shop this, just for me to see that like you're reaching for our brand when you probably have like so many brands being sent to you, that to us, it's like, we're going to keep going. We're on the right direction. What color is she reaching for? What color are other women reaching for? And we keep kind of working into that. And yeah, it's been really exciting, and we're really excited to kind of figure out what future collaborations could look like. I think just right now, we're really focused on our community, like wanting to bring them stuff and keep them excited and bring new designs. So I think like it's such a beautiful balance within any brand where you're focused on your community, but you spice things up with collaboration. And I think, relevancy is important, excitement is important, acquiring new audiences is important. And I think like that's one of the beautiful parts about working with someone that maybe has a different audience than 437 already did, So
And quite smartly, the 437 is very easily identifiable. So even if they aren't tagging, it's very easy to find. It has the numbers right there. You know exactly what they're wearing, even if they decide not to tag it. You can see, oh, I see Alex Earl's wearing this thing and I want it. And it says 437. I can Google it. So it's good that it's very identifiable. That's very smart on your guys' part, especially for like influencer gifting. What are some things that you wish you knew when you were getting started, whether that be with Swim all the way back to the beginning or with going into a new product line with activewear? If for the girls out there that are working on businesses or starting businesses, what are some things that if you had known, you think you could have maybe skipped some missteps?
The aesthetic, the brand, the external stuff of your business is very important. I like to relate it to like dating, where if you're going to go on a date with, let's say in my opinion, if I was single and I was going on a date and he was like a high value man, I'd be really excited about that. Kind of like, let's just say it's like your customers, your community you're going out to. You want to put yourself together. I'd want to put myself together, not because of like a vain mindset, but more so of, do you take care of yourself? Do you want to come off across someone who's cleanly and hygienic and so the branding and the aesthetic, let's say, the Instagram grid, what people see right away, your bio, your logo, your product, what colors your collection is, so important. But I do believe that it's like your personality. It's like, when you're on a date, you could look beautiful, but what else, like that might get his attention for a second, but it's not gonna like make him your husband, maybe, in my opinion. And it's like a brand as well. You can have a beautiful logo, beautiful aesthetic, but I have seen so many women have those things, so many brands have those things, and there's even been moments when 437 has prioritized those things, but then it's like 100 people are watching the story, or 1,000 people are watching the story, but you ordered like 5,000 units, let's say, or it's people think that's all it takes is to have a really good collection and an aesthetic feed and brand, and they're going to sell out. And I see it a lot because I consult a lot of business owners, and it's that you do need to understand, like, what's your go-to-market strategy? How are you going to sell this product? How are you going to convince people to spend $200 on your activewear set rather than walk into Lululemon and buy it when that's like the easiest thing for them? Or that it's not your friend buying it? Or how do you get 10 customers a day? Like, how do they find you? Where are they hearing about you? And I think like it's so important to understand that part is actually one of the hardest parts, but you have to have both, because then on the other hand, I hear some business owners really focused on like the email marketing, the performance, the ads, the this, the that. But the appearance really matters too, because that's like your positioning, right? And it's like dating. It's like you could, the analogy here is then, you're going on a date with like a high value man, but then you look disheveled or you didn't brush your teeth. Or are you going to be someone who's like extremely put together and beautiful, but at home and you didn't even go on the dating apps, you didn't do anything. Like you have to get yourself out there, right? So it's like being a perfect brand, but no one's seeing you. So I don't know if my analogy with like branding and dating is strange. I just thought of it the other day when I was speaking to a client. But I wish I really knew that, because there were some moments where we spent like $15,000 on a shoot to like sell just as many as we did when we had a shoot that was like $200, because there's so many different marketing strategies. So I think it's like really important to understand that balance as a new business owner, because the last thing you want to do is go spend all of your budget on the external appearance of your brand, but be like, oh, where are the customers? It's because there's more that comes to it, right? So
we talk a lot about longevity, especially when we talk about the topic of it girls and it girl brands, because who's hot, who's trending is a flash in the pan. They come, they go. It's this girl, it's that girl, it's this brand, it's that brand. What everybody's going after, like trends, they come and go. What are your plans for longevity? What's next? How do you guys sit down and go, okay, we want to still be just as relevant in 5 years. Here's the plan. What's the long-term goal?
I think naturally your brand may ebb and flow. You have to be humble. I think like it's more of like a characteristic trait. You have to be humble. You have to realize that like, okay, wait, sales are dipping. Are we as relevant as we think we are? Because I feel like a lot of business owners have their ego attached and they think whatever they're doing is perfect. But is it perfect to your customer now? Or is your customer phasing out because they're going to a different part of life? So I think what we have to do is keep identifying who our target market is, then understanding who are they following, what are they buying, what are they doing. I think you have to be so curious. Put your ego aside, understand like who is the it girl? Who are the it girls for that market that you're going after? Because if you're going after moms versus 18-year-olds, it's going to be completely different. So I think that that's important, and being really connected to your community, because you can be like ultra relevant and like ultra like ahead of trends, like runway type, but that might not even resonate to your community. So I think you have to have a really good understanding of who your community is, who are they following, what are they watching, what are they listening to, and just being humble enough to reconnect with that at least annually, right? You want to make sure you don't fall off the path too hard. But I do believe that that is one of the biggest challenges brands are going to find today, is because there's just so many cool brands popping up all the time. And the it girls are not necessarily only wearing or talking about the heritage brands. They're wearing the new and cool and exciting businesses. So yeah, you can't sleep on this.
And do you see yourself going into more product lines? What do you see happening? Or do you think you want to stay in activewear?
I think that we want to stay in activewear. I think naturally, sweats is part of that. Lounge is kind of part of that.
I was thinking sleepwear, 437 pajamas would be so cute.
That would be really cute. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought that far. We're just like really excited about the current activewear, but like matching it with maybe a sweater, a lounge wrap, something like that, but kind of keeping that like your lifestyle and workout clothes as the main thing right now.
And I know you said that one of your focuses is how do you get someone to spend $200 on a workout set? How do you guys get someone to spend $200 on a workout set? What is your strategy that you're like, this is how you get someone to choose you?
It's a variety of things. Your product has to be great, because that is what someone's going to come back to. So actually, if you don't have a great product, they might shop it. Sometimes we see these like cheap ads and we're like, ooh, it looks good. You buy it. You're never going to come back. It's the mix of an amazing product with amazing quality that fits good. Then you're mixing that in with an amazing customer service team that I believe that we have. If you have a problem with your order, if there's something going on, we're at your disposal. We're here to help you, and it feels like a friend. Then you have to see us. Maybe you're willing to spend $200 on a really great quality product that ships fast and, has, free exchanges and all these things, but you have to find out about us somehow, right? So, with a good combination of like PR, influencer marketing, and not just like the big influencers, but it's like, who is someone in your community that influences you? Maybe it's a girl at your Pilates class. Maybe it's a girl on campus, so a blend of influencer marketing that is like high and low. So, celebrity, but also like the girl next door. Ads, of course, I think ads are always great. If, someone finds something, they leave it in their cart, they go and do something, they forget about it. The beauty of ads is that, hey, like you maybe want to see this again because maybe you wanted it for your upcoming, retreat in Bali.
They work on me. I'll put stuff in my cart all the time and then I'll see it pop up and I'm like, you know what? I do need that $300 dress.
That was me with Reformation last week. I was like,
yes.
Yeah, Reformation's ads.
Reformation and Revolve.
Yeah. Yes. Revolve does a good job of showing me
so much in my cart.
Yep.
And they like put it to you as an ad now. And so It doesn't even say this is waiting in your cart. They're like, look at this new dress we just got. I'm like, oh gosh, I know this. Yeah, no, that is good.
And yeah. So it's like, I do think that there's a place for ads. I don't think that you just want to be a business like running off of them, but it is good to remind your customer what they maybe want but forgot about. So then you have like your ads. Our lead designer, Jen, she's our design director. She has 20 years of experience. Like she is so talented when it comes to our apparel of just like, okay, we have to like, this seam on the butt has to go like this. You're just gonna make your butt look nicer. And this like the wrap detail. She's so talented. And that I believe is like really important. Is like the product has to be really great. And I think the last thing is community. I think there has to be this like humanized approach to your business as well. Or at least I believe that our community cares about that. I try to do panels. I try to do podcasts. I think this stuff really matters because sometimes like I hear about an activewear brand. I'm like, oh, it's the founder is like a guy and nothing wrong with that. It's just that I think that there's something that you can connect with when it's a woman and you're like, oh, either, you know, she has
I think it's incredibly obvious when the founder is a male with swim, activewear, intimates, anything like that.
Yeah.
I think it is so evident because I'm like, why does the sports bra have this much room? Why are my boobs sitting at my chin?
Yeah.
You know when a man designed it.
I want women to see that it's possible because truly if Adrian and I could do it, I believe anyone can because there was nothing special about our journey.
If I were starting a business and I came to you and said, okay, what's my social strategy? Would you say all gifting? Would you say sometimes you got to pay? Would you say host an event and get every influencer in your area? What do you think is actually beneficial versus what is just social media fluff?
Honestly, I think it really has to do with the brand. If you were starting something that was very like Nantucket vibes or Cape Cod vibes, do not work and gift. Don't even waste your product on someone that's not their vibe. And you know what? I'm not even opposed to paid. If you have the budget for it, maybe instead of, you know, I'm going to seed, I would do like a high-low approach with that and be like, yeah, you know what? There's this one it girl that is so her vibe. I'm going to get on a call with her team and ask her, hey, this is my brand. What do you think about it anyways? Like, is this even a brand you'd even want to work with? She's like, oh my God, yes. Like, I think they have so much potential. You'd be surprised. A lot of the influencers actually can come with the ideas. And I think that's one of the best ways to work with an influencer. Say, hey, like, do you or your team have an idea of like, listen, this is my budget for the year. Maybe she's willing to do a collection with you. And that's a huge way to take your business off. Maybe she's like, listen, I'm not going to make it obvious that it's an ad. I'm just going to organically integrate it into my content. And that's the budget and it's a lot less. And maybe as a smaller business, you could afford it. I'm really not opposed. For me, I think it's just about don't waste product on someone that it doesn't make sense. I think at the beginning of 437, we did that a lot because we were just desperate with anyone with a lot of followers to wear 437. Now, like, it's very, very niche. I think PR is really important. It's great, but it's like there's this time and place for it. Like if you just start your business, and that was a mistake 437 made. We just started 437, like we were 6 months in and we're like, let's start with PR. That was like the biggest waste of our money.
Okay. That's good information.
You want to like already have customers. I don't think it makes you an overnight success. It kind of accelerates you once you already have a little bit of momentum, right? And also you have to be mindful that if you want to work with PR, they're going to ask for a lot of inventory. So you want to get to a place where that really does make sense for your business. I personally, like when I'm finding a really cool brand, I don't think that it needs a lot of followers as long as I like the product. I think, you know, maybe ads gets you in front of people, influencer marketing, like it really just depends on the business. So it's a hard answer. TikTok, I think, can't be slept on. I think like if you're able to document the journey, if you're a founder that's like, yeah, I'm willing to talk about it, I'm going to show the behind the scenes, definitely do that. Or come up with a strategy on TikTok that works for your business because the reach is amazing. Like getting new customers as a new business is like probably one of the most important things. Just my whole approach with 437 is a lot different than many years ago. We used to be so fixated on like growth. I mean, how do I say this? I had a very masculine approach to my business. I was definitely raised as a business owner in the girl boss era. And
I think we saw a lot of women who took that approach whose businesses are now defunct or sold,
or they're,
I would say mostly sold off.
And honestly, I don't care how 437 does revenue wise. I literally do not care as long as my team is happy, truly, and we're kind to our customers and we're still giving them the experience that they want. I mean, that is the most important thing to me, is that I still want a community that's excited by our launches. That stuff is so important to me, but I just don't care about the revenue numbers. And our team knows that. We just started doing 4-day work weeks for the entire team. They do not work on Fridays.
Ooh, I'm going to have to get a job with you guys. I love that. That sounds like a good time.
I just wanted to create a workplace that, you know, really makes it clear that, hey, like let's take care of ourselves first and foremost, and then let's build an amazing product. Let's build an amazing community.
I think women bring a humility to business that's really important. And I think I could name so many brands that were started by either women or influencers that have sold off, and they lose what made them special to begin with. They lose the personality, they lose their humility, they lose the spark, and then it's just like another, please don't sell.
I know.
Don't sell.
I definitely, that's definitely not where my mind is at. But we had an offer last year, actually.
Really?
Yeah, we had an offer. We kind of came to this phase where I had a lot of my mentors who were like, Hyla, have you guys even considered what the future of 437 is, right? Because I do think it's important as your company starts growing to know, like, what is my exit? Because I do want to be a mom that stays at home. And I do plan on that in like the next few years.
All good things must come to an end. Everything has an end.
Yes, or like a change, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's a change of leadership or someone who's going to be CEO. But I think it was important for us to at least understand, like, what are some of these options? You know, we spoke to some different banks of just like, what happens if we step down as co-founders, or not co-founders, but we step down as like co-CEOs and someone else replaces us in that position. And then around the same time, we had someone come to the table and say, we'd like to, you know, acquire 437. Obviously, we said, okay, well, we're open to hearing what you have in mind.
What kind of business you don't have to say the name, but what kind of business was looking to acquire?
They were focused, they had like a lot of stuff, but I think they were like resort, swim, apparel. They weren't doing active. And I think they were like, we don't see ourselves in active. It just wasn't like, it wasn't in line with the core values of 437, especially with the whole activewear thing. But then I think beyond that, we just weren't ready.
What were their stipulations? You guys would be out? Or did they want you guys to continue?
They wanted like a transition out. But honestly, we didn't take the conversation that far because we weren't ready to give up 437. We were just like, our activewear was like taking off. And also we were like restructuring our team, and everything was like looking really very promising of like this new pace of like this feminine energy I wanted to bring into the workplace. And we're like, I think that we're about to embark, and I think we're kind of on the start of that now, this part of our purpose of life. How do we enjoy this in a way that's meaningful to us, that brings opportunity to our team and brings to our community what they want? And so, yeah, it wasn't the right time. But who knows? I never know what the future has. I'm just like open.
No judgment.
I'm
if you
flowing.
do choose to sell one day, everyone has to have their. It's gotta go. It's gotta end. It's gotta move.
My sister is 14, so I'm like, you know, maybe one day
she could take over.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm just like, you just never know what happens, right? I'm just open.
I love that. No, I think I love bringing. I say that all the time. It's like, we're not curing cancer. We're not saving people's lives. It's fashion. People take it way too seriously. People let it ruin their souls.
But life in general. I always just think about joy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that deep belly joy, that to me is just the most important thing of like my mental well-being, health, family, deep belly laughing and joy. If your work and your purpose can be, that's definitely part of that. Your purpose is definitely part of that. But when it becomes like stressful and you're taking it way too seriously and it's impacting those other areas, I'm like, that's when I had to reevaluate myself. I really had to reevaluate things. I realized, I was like, my whole identity became 437, my work. And I was like, oh, that's a slippery slope, because one thing happens and you're going to be in your darkest place, right? So I had to really think about, what else do I love? Who is Hyla outside of 437? Because I was 21, pretty much. I was 21 when I started. So like my whole 20s was 437. So I was like, I need to know what my identity is outside of this. And I'm like, my work is not my identity. So
that's beautiful. I love that. Okay. As we wrap here, we have ask everybody the same question. Okay. So Hyla, who do you think is the ultimate it girl?
Ooh, I love Maya Jama. I love Lori Harvey. I think, Haley, Kendall. I mean, there's so many incredible it girls. For me, it girls are not just like people who are on social. I'm like, can Dr. Joe Dispenza be my it girl? My it guy?
Yeah.
Because like, I was laughing about it the other day. I was like, I go to his week-long retreats. I love doing his.
Oh my gosh, I want to do that so bad.
Oh my God, it's the best thing ever. And he is one of the only people I fangirl. Like when he comes on, you're only allowed to record when he's like on stage doing a little bit of movement. I'm like zooming in times 10, like on his face. And I'm like, he's dancing. And I'm like, Joe Dispenza is my it girl. I was like,
That's amazing.
I love him, and I'm like so inspired by his work, and a lot of other like Danny Morel. You know, he has a podcast, I think it's called Higher Self. And I love the conversations he has around like feminine energy and masculine energy and relationships. I'm like, to me, like, I know like It Girl, the women I listed, love those women in terms of like style, vibe, all those things. But I get really influenced by like the self-development world a lot. And I fangirl people like that a lot.
I love it. Okay, do you want to shout out your socials and 437 socials while we wrap?
Absolutely. So my social is at Hyla Nayeri. That's my Instagram account. My TikTok is at Hyla_. And I have a podcast called Heart to Heart with Hyla, where we talk about all things feminine energy and how that impacts us in our working lives as career women. And then at 437 on all social channels.
Amazing. I'm at Bailey T. Taylor, at Bespoke TV, at It Girl, the series. We have so many. Thank you so much, Hyla. Thank you for coming. This was so amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.